Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome. My name is Darina, and I am honored to facilitate this extremely promising talk on AI engineering, assisted engineering by Alexey Didik, head of EngX and one of EPAM's most creative masterminds and strategists, having more than 15 years of IT experience. I've had the pleasure to meet and work with Alexey personally, so I know for sure you're going to enjoy his speech a lot. Alexey has this ability to inspire people around him, and I cannot wait to hear his take on AI, which has been the hottest topic lately. If you haven't heard, Alexey, hi, it's so nice to see you. How's it
Hello,
going?
Darina. It's good. Good. I hope the sound is good. All right. I'm traveling, so I have my AirPods in my ears, and I hope it's still gonna not interfere much with the quality of the conversation. Do you hear me well?
Yeah, I do. I do. It's perfect. Where
Yeah.
are you, by the way?
I'm right now in our Boston EPAM office. It's a Boston Continuum office, and to be honest, it's the coolest EPAM office I have ever been. We have a lot of very nice offices, and Hyderabad office is extremely beautiful as well, for example. However, this one has a very interesting flavor because there is a design and innovation building in Boston, and this area is all focused on building the vision of the future, and not only vision, but also kind of like make it real. And this part of EPAM is focused on making like innovation stuff. And it's extremely nice office, and also it's located in a seaport area of Boston. For those who have been in Boston, there is a Boston Bay and there is a seaport, and this street called Dry Dock Avenue. So you can see even just
Oh,
like a
wow.
shipbuilding right here, and there is a Boston Bay just in front, and it's a Logan International Airport right here. So, and it's a pretty cool office, the way how it's designed and made. So it's really nice flavor.
Oh, I love this industrial vibe. It's really cool. Also, I can see in the chat that there's some issues with the sound still, like the noise from AirPods. Like
For airports,
perhaps it's better not to move that much. And I also can
not
hear you in waves.
in waves. Okay, so I'm not sure just like what is the best way. I can try to switch to the just like regular, um, just to the regular um, dynamics of the MacBook Pro, but I'm not sure what's the best way. So let's just spend like 1 more minute when I'm talking like
Okay.
that. You still hear me in bass? Is there a lot of noise?
Um,
Uh,
some noise. Yeah. Okay,
some noise.
let's try it this way for a minute. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just like because in the settings I cannot even really change the sensitivity of the microphone, so unfortunately it's gonna be like maybe like that.
Okay. Got it.
Um,
Got it.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry guys, you have to go through it. How is it now?
Yeah, it's getting better. Better.
It's getting better. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Alexey, I have a question before we jump into the presentation. It's a general question. What is your attitude towards AI? Like, do you find it a progressive boost of potential and a solution, or rather, like an ending of human era?
Just like, oh, You know, to be honest, I'm a long time fan of Elzevir Yudkovsky, who is one of the top researchers of artificial intelligence in the world right now, and reading quite long time Les Wrong too. It's a website related to the rationality thinking and artificial intelligence. I just like in the beginning, it was March probably, on February, I just felt so scared. I had been reading the long articles, and the most prominent question was, do we need to still save for the retirement? It's still going to end soon, for example. Right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
answer is actually yes, because if it doesn't end soon, you don't have money to retire, right? So, but in general, this is definitely like a very emotional and going into waves, like a roller coaster, just like feeling about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't know, to be honest. The horizon of our ability to understand the way how it's going to evolve is probably longer than we can understand right now, but the changes from just like chatting to sending pictures and trying to analyze them to like recent advances in a more just like bigger topics, like you can post Figma link and it will create user stories for you and etc. So I assume we just need to enjoy the journey, be
Yeah.
prepared and flexible and agile in our way in understanding. So any case, it's speeding up as a way how we need to adapt to the changing environments, including work and way how we work. So I wouldn't expect anything different. So my answer, let's see. At least we would experience it, right?
Okay. Okay. Totally agree. The best thing we can do is to adapt, or like at least try. All right. I'm sure we'll get all the answers, or at least some we seek. And in case we don't, like during your presentation, I invite all of you, I mean the listeners, people who watch us, to post your
Wow, we are
questions
losing Darina.
in the chat box. Like I'm going to monitor all the spaces to then deliver your questions to Alexei. So yeah, Alexei, the stage is
Yes,
yours.
please deliver questions. Because guys, I'm gonna start sharing the screen, and you'll probably, because I have only one screen, you will see like something in the middle. But let me just like screen sharing because it is with two monitors, and so where is my presentation and all other stuff? Um, so I see the presentation right now. I do not see you, Darina. So just raise your hand, tell me something. You still hear me? You see my deck, my screen right now, guys?
Not the screen, only you.
Only me? Wow. Okay, give me a sec. Present, share the screen, allow, adoption dashboards. Okay, I assume this one. The screen,
Okay.
engineering excellence in area of AI, the bumpy road to it, travel notes. Yes. All right, guys. There is not like a polished deck which well polished speech, to be honest. You caught me in the middle of the travel, even two travels. The first travel is I am literally right now in Boston, while I live in New York. Yesterday I just came to Boston by train, the day before, and today in 2 hours I'm gonna catch another train to get back to New York. So I am traveling right now for the client business and all other things. So, but my second travel is an understanding of AI itself and generative AI and continuously changing space in this area. So there is no polished deck, and probably it shouldn't be. It should be only those feelings and should be only those kind of understandings of what's going on, so we can continuously exchange those feelings and enhance each other's understanding of changing environment we live in related to the generative AI itself. So that's why it's travel notes. And those travel notes, like, if you open like a notebook and you can find some well-defined thoughts, less well-defined thoughts, maybe even some pictures or some poems, or etc., etc. So let it be these travel notes I would like to share with you today. And as soon as we're going to move forward, I'll continue sharing it. Okay. So the first thing I would like to talk about is that what happened. And what happened in like February, March when the GPT 3.5 and the GPT 4 was already just like around, and everyone started to talk about it, and everyone started asking, how is it going to change us? What's going to happen? Are we going to have AI developers soon and all other things? And everyone started to try it, and everyone got this first initial feeling, if you probably remember, of like, wow, this is so magical, you can do this stuff. And this magic like feels from one side so powerful, and from another side maybe just like very scary. And we just like started to think how proficient we are going to be, how successful, how just like cooler it's probably we're going to do stuff, and at the same time this scary feeling. So in this moment I also had it, and I saw just like, hold on, we need to just like maybe a bit hold on in our expectations, and as soon as something seems magical, we need just to wait and invest time in our understanding of the technology we are getting. Even if it seems magical, only truly getting in the weeds and understanding what is it behind, how does it work, what is the limitations here, and etc., can enhance our power. So that's why I didn't just like following the Hartner harp cycle, for example. I didn't want to expect the same from large language models and generative AI in general, right? So it's just like, let's make it just like invest time in understanding it. Let's do not hope that tomorrow we're going to develop 15 times faster and just like start developing it 15 times faster trying using AI. Instead, invest this time in understanding how it works. So I made this initial effort, and this slide is like from this period of time, like which is around like March, April, is that I'm trying to understand what is it. So it's actually predicting what's in the context, and it's a probability machine behind it, right? So it doesn't think by itself. It doesn't just like have a like true reasoning and understanding what is truth and what is not. So it's not always correct because it's based on potentially incorrect knowledge. And as soon as those probabilities between words are built on this probably incorrect knowledge, how we can be sure that it's correct or not, and that it's have a short memory, because initially it was feeling like it learns, it knows, and etc. But it's not. You can build definitely like additional layers of fine tuning. However, it doesn't have memory by itself. I even had this feeling like we're all going to be connected, our souls are sharing them. There is nothing like that. So it's limitations, and they're going to change those limitations. The nature is going to change, but understanding it helps us to kind of more just like become even more powerful in usage of it. So, but as a head of engineering excellence program, I assume the main question for me is that how the engineering is going to change. What are we going to do faster? Are we going to do slower? What's going to happen? And it was a lot of very unclear messages the whole summer, probably the whole spring and the whole summer. Just like, yes, GitHub reporting 50% more productive, 60% more in the flow, all other things we heard, right? But is it just true? Is it how it's truly going to influence it? And as soon as I'm a head of engineering excellence program, and the last like already almost 8 years, I am focusing on understanding the nature of software development performance and productivity of people, which depends on so many different factors every day, including being scared that AI can replace you. So are we truly going to deliver faster? So I had been starting like to approach this program, but not in a way that let's have a tool and measure is it more effective or less effective, but more in a way in understanding how we're going to interact with the tool. And I had been thinking that right now the main kind of an approach in development is then when business having an idea coming to development teams because they need technical solution for the business problems they have or from the business ideas they have. And they just like need to development team by themselves, they need to create technical solution for technical problem. for the business. And how those people are interacting, they are mostly interacting through the words. So one people explaining idea to another people using like intermediate set of artifacts, say it's designs in Figma, or it's user stories, or it's just like words in all the functional requirements document, which is probably still in place a lot. And I have been thinking how we can influence on the success of development team to delivering technical solution for the business problem better. What business can do, they can choose better team from technology perspective, from skills perspective, from the time zone perspective. They can provide definitely better requirements, because if just like garbage in, garbage out, the way how it's all usually told, and quickly verifying, accessing results. So you do not wait 2 years to develop something you envision it and then find out that it doesn't work this way. And development team by themselves, they also can do better. They can contribute in requirements quality, because for business sometimes it's not clear what they can really do in order to explain better what they need. And development team thinking in the technical solution terminology, they can influence it. You can definitely continuously, as a development team, you can evaluate your own efficiency and be aware about your own challenges, and you can test produce the results. But what's the difference between AI? I mean, so at this moment, most of the communication AI happens in about the same way, right? It's still in words. So it's natural language processing, which is so magical, but truly this is the same kind of a communicating your ideas. It's not a business ideas probably which need to be converted into the code and working solution, but it's also ideas about what should be done. You still need to create language, and each language which is going to be understandable. There's still process of a communication. So by adding generative AI into development mix, you literally adding another need for the communication. And sometimes communication doesn't work. We have all argues in our families and with our loved ones and with our friends, and even sometimes within our own heads we argue with just like different parts of us. So communication is going to happen, and you need to develop this new way how you can communicate with AI. And as soon as business can help development teams and influence on success, development teams can support success, I would say that the same is applicable. So development team, by choosing better AI for the specific goal, or by providing better requirements, assessing results, and AI can actually do something. So those who are creating solutions for development teams using generative AI, they need to be aware that they need to collaborate on requirements quality and give feedback on the prompts we are getting. They can evaluate their own efficiency and learn from it. And that actually GitHub Copilot is doing it, because it keeps context of what you accepted and not accepted as solutions, right? And it learns through that too, and it can test produced results by themselves, so they can understand better what is truth. One more thing which scared me probably the most is that verification of results produced by AI through the delegation. You delegate it to AI, you need to verify results. It actually can lead to the stalling of your competency. Now you know how to develop, you delegate it to someone, you need to verify after someone, but verifying is not the same. There is a conjunction fallacy, and it's a very well-known bias, cognitive bias of people, which says that people, they usually verify not the correctness of something. They verify more like I would say not the true correctness of something, but more plausibility of something. So you don't want to have spent time. Sometimes to verify correctness of result, you need to spend an amount of energy almost equal to producing it by yourself. And when people are seeing complex solutions, they usually have a tendency to think that they are more correct just because they look complex themselves. And you can get into this styling, into the way how you can delegate work to AI. You will try to verify result. Result is complex and looks beautiful. And we saw it when you're asking ChatGPT about making like a big text, and just like it replies you with a lot of details. By default, you feel like, wow, there is so much details. It definitely knows what it's talking about. But as we also know, sometimes it could be complete BS. So that's why by asking AI to do something and then hesitating to verify its correctness because it's not always correct, you can start losing your skill. And that's what also scared me. But let's stop talking about maybe this part already and start coming back to the question, which this Pug is asking, like, are we going to still develop software faster? And I still don't know. I definitely feel the way how it can influence, but still don't know the answers. And here, before I'm gonna go inside the weeds of the specific of generative AI, I'd like to share with you several interesting outcomes of DevOps DORA research, State of DevOps research conducted by DORA and Google Cloud in 2022, which contradicts to a lot of things I spoke about before. Because like if you're reading like DORA research 2019, it's just saying, those are cool practices. It's all going to be better. Those are things you're going to deliver faster and all of that stuff. However, all those cool and nice practices in 2022, the way how they conduct research just shows very contradictory and very scary results, right? So just like you're using trunk-based development and suddenly you find that actually it's an unexpected negative impact, even if before it was positive. So the documentation practices can actually just like have a negative defects on the delivery performance, and loosely coupled architecture with continuous deployment increase the occupational burnout and all other things. You can read through the slide if you want, and it just like can report itself. So it feels that this environment we are working on, this work on the software development performance, is not so straightforward and simple. You cannot define A, B, C in a checklist and get a final perfect solution. Everything is going to work well. It's much more complicated because the amount of variables in place, it's just like tremendous. Like people and the way how they feel, the way how it works, the way how they talk to each other, and all of the things. It's not very living machine, and there is no one straightforward way how it can work. So that's why the next point I would like to share with you is that while talking about the productivity gain from software, just like generative AI, you need to focus not on the individual performance gains. And all of those initial reports from the GitHub Copilot researchers was about it's getting 30% faster for the developers. But individual developers rarely develop software products. It's just not enough people and not enough skills to guarantee all those different phases of SDLC to be executed correctly. And then it's a different skill could be to collect requirements and explain them properly. And the UX designers are focused on knowing how to make the things more comfortable for people to be used. And the testers and quality engineers, they know how to verify correctness across multiple pieces. So it's a much more than a single person or productivity of a single person. And if you think about it, you can probably just like thinking it's a sequential, even if it's in a short iteration, it's still sequential process of delivering software. And if someone is becoming faster, how it's going to influence everyone else and how you can align and do it. So I had this initial feeling and a guess that in order to get true benefit out of generative AI, you need to take care about maturity of your development process and ensure that there is a good practices in place and they allow to support you and you just like give visibility. And often clients and our clients, EPAM clients, are asking like, what's going to happen? Are we going to be 20% more productive? Are you guys going to be 20% more productive? And the answer is still don't know, because I would predict that it's highly depends on a maturity of your software development process itself. And maybe it's going to be faster, or maybe it's going to be slower, because you can imagine the situation when the software developers now can produce code much faster, but without proper test coverage on all different levels, without short feedback loop. If you are producing code 5 times faster, that this code is not verified until 3 months late, and you can suddenly find out a huge tremendous code base which is poorly maintainable, and you are not really even can understand if the system work and how to make it work. So that's why I would predict that this impact is going to be higher for the high performance in the market, for those who are having this faster, better and cheaper, who has more throughput, more deployment frequency, shorter lead times, and all other elements and pieces. So this is a guess, and the numbers on the right you see is also a guess. It's just like more illustrative to show that it's very, very unclear. Coming back to the question itself, so are we gonna develop software faster? Because there is still manipulation, or still kind of speculation about this area, right? Because I had been continuing working on it. So last 3 months, and that's another part of this travel road and this travel you called me in, is that I had been conducting experiment and just like research on a scale for about 100 people. Depends on the role you include in the target audience. 8 software development teams across 3 different streams. You can see it as a product as well. And for the 3 months of work, we supported adoption of generative AI across business analysis, software development, and testing, to do not observe individual results, but observe it on a much bigger, larger scale and the various teams. And it was 3 PAM AI coaches to support adoption of generative AI, and 2 EngX consultant with me, just like leading this part, to measure performance impact and baseline. So we built for this experiment a generative AI ecosystem. It's all based on the PAM AI Dial, which is an EPAM platform to deliver AI-based, generative AI-based solutions. The most prominent is a chat-based experience, which is a more secure and private communications and using ChatGPT directly. We also set up a wonderful EngX EPAM Alita, which was developed by our testing competency center, which is not only for the testers, not only for the quality engineers, but truly collaboration space on exchanging the best prompts, which integrates in the Microsoft Teams, allows you to quickly run commands like generate test cases, give variables from the prompt, so you don't need to write every time as a software tester, you need to do blah, 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 and all other stuff, which is a part of the prompt engineering. And we used, obviously, GitHub Copilot as a part of IntelliJ IDEA. However, we need to make this process observable. So our PAM AI coaches, they would be able to really support teams. So it's not like some experience going on, it's observed and controllable experience going on. So we built an adoption dashboard. An adoption dashboard helped us duration in all those 3 months to collect data from the different data sources surrounding the project. So we had a regular surveys asking people how do they feel, what's going on, did you use AI last week, do you feel more productive, do you feel less productive, what time you saved, and etc., etc. We also worked and collected EPAM AI dialogues and used AI itself to analyze conversations and find out what people are actually talking about. Is it about software development? Is it about this specific phase of SDLC or about this specific phase of SDLC? Is it about just like a prompt quality against like create framework on all other frameworks and etc. And we also collected data from the GitLab and Jira and other sources in order to continuously visualize and then being able to make a correlations to understand the way how data is influencing each other and support adoption itself. So now coming to the question this puppy asked me, right? So, but are we going to develop faster? And for the sake of measuring it, we used the following salt model, which is quite straightforward, right? So you go and every feature, every story you develop going through the requirements gathering to the deployment and maintenance. So you have a lead time of a feature from ideation to delivery. You have some requirements preparation time and a cycle time, which is actually executing the idea, which is already described in place, and deployment time. But separation of deployment time and cycle time is a bit unnatural, I would say, but it was made for the sake of this experiment itself. We split cycle time on development time, testing time. However, there are also queues, right? So work prepared stays in definition of ready and stays in waiting for developers to pick it up. And then a developer made the job, it put it in another queue, which is a testing queue, so testers can pick it up. And deploy queue can wait for the release process to be completed. And we also took a look on various other metrics, which can help us to understand the influences and correlations between times or changes in these times better. So for the sake of this experiment, we researched and analyzed data in a duration of 6 months, almost 6 months. It's actually 6 tender sprints, which is a 12 weeks of one side and weeks on another side. Total 24 weeks of time. And 12 weeks before we started and 12 weeks after to understand what changed. Is there any influence on the timings themselves? I'm not able to disclose you right now the calculations, specific one. I can only share the final results themselves. But you almost welcome, you obviously welcome to come, and if you're interested in the data, and we would agree just like to find and share the data of experiments, the raw data on all the different aspects, I would say that we can make a lot of even more interesting conclusions, or even maybe break down the one which already done, right? So this is the next slides we're going to share with you is a part of this initial research on the data we collected in place. So moving forward, are we going to develop faster? So what we found, no. Okay, actually, I just forgot that I have this slide in the middle. I just would like to talk a bit about the adoption of generative AI process. So adoption is not simple. And we found that people are actually rejecting AI in the beginning. And a lot of people feel uncomfortable start using. So adoption process takes time to start seeing usage of AI not as another job, but as a tool you can use to do your current job. You need to dedicate time to learn how to use it properly. Otherwise, it always feels that this usage properly distracts you from doing what you're doing right now. Does it remind you actually delegating any work itself? So when you just working hard on your current task and someone bring you junior developer and you need to, or like even middle level developer, and you need to communicate what need to be done, you need to stop doing work, you need to start explaining what should be done, and this work coming back and you find out that it's not the quality you're looking for and you're getting frustrated, but maybe it's not good enough because another person is bad, but maybe it's good enough because he didn't explain correctly, and you need to start learning how to explain correctly, and it's all going on and going on. So it took quite a time to really push through and move through to help people start seeing AI as something which can really help and support them. So that's just the way how it happened. And we developed the coaching model and the model of detractors and champions and early adopters, and worked in a different way with different kind of people, with a coffee break and even reward system, just to help people adopt AI so we can collect this data and understand this influence. So that's a difficult change and a scary change. And it's mostly related to the fact that you need to start explaining someone what needs to be done from just like at this moment. So going forward and start getting back is it influence of the development process. So what we found is that development time became 6% shorter. So the time the regular task on this 24 weeks period, before AI 12 weeks, after AI 12 weeks, started to develop on 6% faster. 6% less time than before. And it's not a tremendous number, probably because if coding, as soon as coding is not like a big, only the one part of the job, and understanding of the stories and the quality of requirements and all other things can influence, this number can be seen not big enough, but it's big enough taking account the scale of work we are doing. And observing right now already new collected data in October, we see that this number is starting to grow. So which is very good for finding itself. We also found that the testing time became 16% less. So the time people test, including test automation, and to be honest, test automation benefits are tremendous because it's a lot of coding as well, but also it's a generation of the test cases and decomposition of those tasks. So testing time is also getting shorter, 16% less. However, cycle time, the time from beginning of work and starting to time it's finished, it didn't change. And why? If development time 6% less and testing time 16% less, what's going on? And I assume you can guess, right? Queue ate it all. We found that testing queue time became 30% more. And if I remember staying in the queues, I hated staying in the queues when I was still a kid in the Soviet Union and we need to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to the queue and line and stay like for 2 hours getting milk. So I should say that development work and user stories, I also don't really like staying in a queue. And you can get improvement of your development time, or you can get improvements of your testing time. However, it still can be eaten by a queue, and this time can be wasted. We also found that requirements preparation time for this period of observation became 16.5% less. And business analyst people and product owners, they are able to deliver for requirements faster. However, lead time, the time from the ideation to the end, it got 25% longer. And why this number is big, I should say that it all depends on the nature of the process, because obviously there is some scope creep, there is some reprioritization of backlog happens, and sometimes you think that you need to develop some task, but you actually don't need it right now. It stays in backlog, ready for development. However, this is still growth. And what we found that if it's a requirements preparation time, the 16.5% less, and cycle time, if you remember, didn't change, what's going on? And we found that developed queue time grew up 103%. 103% in comparison with the 3 months before we started our work. And it's a big change, 2 times, right? So it's just another queue which just kept a lot of work. So what should we say? It's all about queues. It's less about tool and individual productivity, but it's more about our ability to connect those different activities together and guarantee the transition of user story or any development work from one phase to another, it's smooth and it's getting without like accumulating ton of work in certain places. So queues and your ability to understand your queues, understand where the work is accumulating, how you can shorten this time, how you can rebalance your team, how do you make some additional agile coaching or whatever else you can imagine to make it less. So first, understanding the way how you spend time working on stuff, understanding the bottlenecks, being able to remove those bottlenecks, and you get it all flowing faster. Because if you see software development process as a pipe, and this pipe has different widths and different sides, obviously the water flow is not going to be just like the Moses as the pipe has the same width on all lengths. And even more, if the pipes have like going back and forth in a width and it's getting just like more thin or more thick, you have a turbulence. You can imagine the situation if the testers, they are not able to test as fast as developers produce code, and they have accumulating queue of testing tasks, they start to feel pressure. I mean, like, we are behind, we are lagging, and if the managers are not good, which happens, they can start pressurizing testers and say, you need to go faster. You see, developers are getting better. So it's this kind of process. Being able to understand your own process and being able to optimize it on the fly based on individual productivity gains, that's the key. And that's why probably your trunk-based development can lead to some just like unexpected results, like in a DORA report 2022, because you cannot just drop tools into people and hope they're going to become faster. You need to continuously understand the whole parameters of the system in order just to optimize them. So yes, Papi, we are going to deliver software faster, but it should be done in a smart way. And coming to the end of my speech, I want to say thank you for the whole team, which was with me on this, the whole duration of the experiment. And I'm going to cry right now. So thank you, Dmitra. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Mikita. The wonderful team from wonderful country, Ukraine. And sometimes thinking that they work with me on all this research while continuously being endangered by war, it's tough. And the whole teams, development teams we worked with, they're also all in Ukraine. So I really appreciate your efforts, guys, and your passion you brought into this research we just conducted, even if you live right now in a such difficult period of time for all of us. So thank you, the teams we worked with, and thank you, my team, for being with me and moving this all through. And that's it from the screen sharing perspective. So you guys, you didn't lose me, right? So because I had been talking without any feedback in the middle.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexei. Fantastic speech. And yeah, a warm thank you from myself for putting a Ukrainian flag there. Like, I'm almost crying. Thank you. I really liked the part where you donned on the contradiction around AI. That when it's this big, it is of course scary. So I think answering my previous question, it sounds more like a solution after all, right? So, dear community, how do you think? How did you find Alexei's view on that matter? Post in the chat box. And meanwhile, we have one question to answer. Can you elaborate on what is meant by testing queue as opposed to actual testing?
So the testing queue, there is a Jira status ready for QA, for example, and that's when the developers finish work and now they're waiting for already some manual testing to be done. So it's a handshake and handoff just right between the software engineers and quality engineers, if it happens. And I understand that in a lot of ways, sometimes it's a much more smooth process. However, there's still a column in your Kanban board, for example, which says those tasks are finished in the work and now they're waiting to be picked up into development. I hope I answered. We'll be happy to elaborate more if necessary.
Yeah, Randy, if you're here, you can signal if the question was answered. Okay, one more. What is next after this research? Are we still in pilot mode, or are you considering rolling out to more all dev teams?
It all depends on what rolling out. Research itself, I'm so first of all, it's not the only research we are running right now, and we are running it on several other teams as well. And we would continue doing it. But rollout, it should happen. I mean, it's clear. It's clear for just like it's gonna speed up the way how we work. I had been writing this AI adoption dashboard I spoke in the beginning. I wouldn't do it without ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot because I didn't know Python. I am Java developer in the past, and I wrote it all in the Python because of ChatGPT. And it helped me to write all scripts I need to process data and visualize data if necessary. So it's all been done just because of ChatGPT. So I would say that generative AI is definitely speed up developers. And day by day, we are going to see arrival of more and more new tools, which makes it nicer. And EPAM conducts tons of POCs, including generation of user stories just based on just like initial explanations and the product monkey AI tool I spoke about and the different other tools which are in place and also like connecting to the code base LLM, just banking, fine tuning here. And it's getting faster, but it still can be all in queues. So you can still waste this time if you do not understand the structure of your time and you do not proactively adapt your process to accommodate changes in individual performance. So that's why I'm not sure what's rollout. Rollout generative AI, no one is going to ask me if they're going to roll out generative AI. Everyone is going to do it just like do it. So, but my goal is to be sure that in EPAM, we aware about ways how individual productivity gains can be combined into the team productivity. And that's, I assume, the main focus. I just like with my team, we had a conversation, and Sergey, as I remember, told me, like, no one is asking what is the productivity gain from IntelliJ IDEA or VS Code when they are buying it, right? So, I mean, so there is a certain just like consensus in the industry that there are tools which just must have. I mean, so if you can save 14%, for example, of your 10% of your lead time on a scale of engineering team per year, $20 like GitHub Copilot, $25 GitHub Copilot per month for 7 people, plus generative, just like LLM usage, it's going to be incomparable numbers. No one is going to care about it. It's like, I don't know, maybe the Russians, right, in just companies which argue about buying intelligent idea, but I hope not. So.
Okay, thank you. We have one more. So there are many clients that initially got excited, as you said, and open to try things. But right now, there is a lot of resistance given the fact that information might end on somebody else's servers as you are disclosing information to the AI as input. What are the plans to avoid such risks and convince the client to use the new tools?
So I could be not the exact right person to answer it, right? Because we have a huge data practice which is much more competent in this area. However, the way how we used just like AI in this uh, specific project is that you just like LLM itself, it doesn't keep information. It's just a processing engine. It's like a processor, even if it has cache, it's just like doesn't work this way. So if you build the architecture in a way that all information is in the proper place, I assume it should be avoided. But I don't want to speculate too much about it. Just like I assume it's better if to follow up on this specific question and find out. I can just have a feeling that everyone is gonna agree with that. and they're gonna just say, it's okay. Because the actual benefit every industry is gonna get is much higher. And that's why I'm not only from the software development perspective and only from the business perspective. So everyone will agree. And I remember right now, don't want to speculate too much, that recently Microsoft made an agreement so they can actually be legally liable for any issues related to the data disclosure if it happens. So they are interested as well in the built environments when privacy of data is in a good place, so cared about. So I would say that this initial period of hesitation will move forward because every change is a change, and business will realize that they will be lag behind too much if they don't use it. So they will agree with the potential risk, and they will understand it better because the industry will explain it better. We will go through this period of time, but once again, I'm not 100% expert in this area.
Okay. That was a great take. We have one more question from Dennis. First of all, he thanks you for this interesting presentation. So it's now easier for me to overcome my FOMA. Speeding up development can indeed expedite the delivery of errors and unnecessary features. My question is, what are your thoughts on the potential emergence of new development approaches that will have AI in their DNA? Because currently we are applying new tools to all development methodologies.
It will happen, I assume, and that's why it's a second horizon. When I also thought about it, I didn't bring this slide. I explained the first horizon, when SDLC is going to be about the same. However, the tools will start changing the way how people make usual stuff. And that's the first horizon we are talking about right now. I am probably sure as soon as we reach the second horizon, the whole my speech can be thrown in the garbage can because it doesn't matter any longer. But the second horizon will come, and the second horizon will start to change the way how SDLC is done completely. Probably limiting some phases and activities, reshaping the nature, but I don't want also to speculate, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. When? I don't know, maybe just like in a year, or maybe even faster, maybe a bit longer, but we will start seeing changes in the SDLC process itself.
Okay. Thank you, Alexei. Okay. I believe that's all. Please, my team in the private chat, like if I'm wrong, please correct me, help me out. But if I'm not mistaken, like we answered all of the questions. If not, I think Alexei can be, contacted directly after this presentation. So
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. That's good to hear. Thank you, Alexei, for a wonderful talk and for a great Q&A session. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you. It was so nice. So nice talking to you.
In my heart.
Oh yeah,
see you guys.
Same here.
Thank you.
Same here. Not like I'm not in the merch. Like I'm not wearing anything, but still, that's true. The rest of you expect the talk recording during the next week, and as part of EngX Day, next will be moving 17 years of old legacy code and sites into the cloud by Scott Hanselman with Archil Parshanidze. Thank you all. Enjoy EngX Day 2023.
All right. See you guys. Enjoy. Bye.